false tip with a false name led campus police here at Montana State University to the arrest of a man who claimed at the time he abducted a missing Bozeman girl.
I'm Mike Dennison at the Capitol. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at the state's top electoral race this year.
We'll have both those stories in just a moment. Meantime, it's right ahead of 6:30 on this Friday. Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell with you here. Just watching you go through those graphics this morning. Page.
Oh, there's
page.
so much going on.
There are so many things happening. Before we get back to you on Monday, we're going to see virtually everything that's possible other than maybe hail.
Well,
Who
never
knows?
know,
Yeah,
right?
we'll find out. Yeah.
Let's focus on the positive. We don't have a lot going on in the morning.
No?
That's good.
Yeah.
Temperatures hold, well, we do, but
well, yeah, that's true.
The drive should be fairly clear. Temperatures holding into the 20s and teens. We should see clouds, maybe a few isolated snow showers in the mountains of western Montana. Temperatures into the 40s. What Chet was talking about is the fire danger, the wind warnings, the wind advisories, and the snow. We've got all of that coming up. We'll talk about that. Oh yeah, and near record highs. That's all coming up in just a little bit.
In like 36 hours, you're going to pack it all in.
Well, I aim to please.
You
overachiever.
Are a very overachiever. That's what you are. 6:30 now. If you're driving west of Bozeman last night, you may have seen a large plume of smoke. Firefighters say at one point it could actually be seen from several miles away. Here's why. Highlight fire crews and Gallatin County Sheriff's deputies responded to what they say was an abandoned trailer. That was just after 5 o'clock last night at South Gooch Hill Road behind a car dealership. Crews on scene say the fire burned through that structure pretty quickly. Gooch Hill Road had to be closed in the area while multiple crews worked to put it out. Witnesses who live nearby in the King Arthur Mobile Home Park say the building was actually a greenhouse.
It was pretty far. It was black smoke and everything. And I turned to my husband and I said, you know, that's where we live. That's near where we live. We better check it out.
Yeah, fortunately, it wasn't their house. Cause of that fire is still under investigation. It's kind of a strange one, a bizarre twist to a missing girl case in Bozeman. Police say 16-year-old Gabrielle Harding was last seen on Monday, January 20th at West Babcock Street and North 24th Avenue. But both Bozeman Police and MSU Campus Police say a man is now behind bars for providing a false tip that pegged himself as a suspect in connection with her disappearance. MTN's Cody Boyer has the details.
Take your time.
In this instance of a serious arrest being made for a felony offense, that's a big deal.
Detective Sergeant Joseph Swanson says his officers continue to follow every lead in the search for Gabrielle Harding, whether it comes in by phone call or by email.
We've had a few leads that have been coming in through citizens, which have been helpful.
Except for one. According to Gallatin County Court documents, one such tip came from a Tyler Watson, a tip that led to the arrest of this man, Zachary Antikainen.
That was investigated by the Montana State University Police Department. Does not appear to have anything to do with our investigation. That this is someone who made a decision on their own.
A detective spoke to Antikainen Wednesday at MSU's Linfield Hall. After bringing him back to their station, officers say he told them a bizarre story. Police say Antikainen admitted to using the false name Tyler Watson to submit this tip to crimetips@bozeman.net. That's not where his admission stopped. Court documents show Antikainen admitted to creating Tyler Watson to tell investigators that Antikainen himself abducted Harding at knife point near the intersection she was last seen, naming himself the suspect with information Swanson says is not true.
That just significantly extends the amount of time we could have been spending with trying to follow up with a lead that may lead us to her to bring her back home safely.
Mr. Antikainen has had a pattern of behavior where he had made several false reports that had been investigated.
Swanson says foul play is not suspected yet. The search for Harding continues.
Our officers, as well as the rest of probably the state of Montana, is aware that she's missing. People are actively looking for her.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Now, detectives also add that she may have more brown hair than was originally reported. If you have any factual tips, you're asked to email them to crimetips@bozeman.net or call the Bozeman Police Department. In statewide news this morning, a school bus crash east of Billings has left 2 people dead. It happened on Highway 212 between Lame Deer and Ashland last night. Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Scott McDermott says the Busby school bus was traveling west and the car heading east He says roads were icy, the car and bus collided head on. 2 adults in the car with Montana license plates were killed. 1 student, the bus driver and a bus monitor were not seriously injured, but they were taken to the hospital. Well, yesterday we kicked off MTN's campaign coverage with an overview of Montana's top primary election contest, the 3-way Republican primary for governor. This morning, MTN's Mike Dennison looks at the money behind the candidates, where it's coming from, and who's giving it.
3 men are vying for the GOP nomination to run for Montana's open governor's seat. Attorney General Tim Fox, Congressman Greg Gianforte, and State Senator Al Olszewski of Kalispell. Already, the trio has raised a combined $2.2 million in campaign funds. The leader by far is Gianforte with $1.4 million through the end of last year, followed by Fox with $566,000 and Olszewski at $229,000. Where's it all coming from? Although Gianforte and Fox have donors from around the country, they're both getting about 80% of their funds from Montanans. Gianforte is just getting a lot more, averaging more than $350 per Montana donation, while Fox is about $200 per donation. The employment profile of their donors is remarkably similar. Both are receiving substantial amounts of money from retirees and business owners and executives. Olszewski's campaign fund is fueled almost entirely by Montanans. All but $2,000 of his donations have come from inside the state. When it comes to in-state geography, Gianforte is killing it in his hometown of Bozeman and Gallatin County, the fastest growing area of the state. He's raised some $280,000 from the area, compared to only $31,000 for Fox and just $2,000 for Olszewski. The only city where Fox has outraised Gianforte is Helena, $95,000 to Gianforte's $52,000, and the only area where Olszewski has come close to holding his own is his home turf, Kalispell and the Flathead Valley. Olszewski has raised about $49,000 from Kalispell, Big Fork, and Whitefish, compared to $102,000 for Gianforte and $34,000 for Fox. Gianforte, a multimillionaire businessman, also has put about $72,000 of his own money into his campaign. But he's not the biggest self-funder of the bunch. That honor goes to Olszewski, an orthopedic surgeon who so far has pulled $102,000 from his own pocket to fund his campaign. So, what's it all mean? Do the candidates with the most money win? A lot of times, yes. And donors can be persuaded to get on what looks like a winning horse. But, as we said yesterday, in this race, there are many rivers to cross before it's all over in June. In Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now, next month, MTN News will take a look at the other 3-way contested primary race for governor, the Democratic primary. We talked about this one a little bit ago. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is a mental health condition that can develop after a person witnesses or experiences a traumatic event. It can be triggered by a life-threatening event like a car accident, sexual assault, or a natural disaster or combat. In Texas, a new virtual reality treatment is being used to help veterans suffering from PTSD. Here's Jason Allen.
Maybe they were on a crowded Iraqi street, or maybe in a rural Afghan village. But for as many as 30% of veterans, something happened they are hiding from to this day, and the Strong Mind system is designed to take them back there.
We're trying to help patients to confront and reprocess difficult emotional memories, but in a safe place.
The system Dr. Skip Rizzo has developed for 15 years is being introduced to clinicians at the North Texas VA this week, so they can use it with their post-traumatic stress patients. Traditionally, they ask patients to imagine the scenario they're troubled by. Strong Mind, as I found, puts them in the middle of it, what they could hear that day, what the weather was like.
And then we can, of course, blow stuff up. All of a sudden, things start to come back. Because they've been trying to avoid thinking about it or talking to anybody about it. And once you break that seal, you start to hear more and more and more.
It goes beyond what you see and what you could hear, even down to what you were holding that day, or even what you were feeling that day. Charitable organization Soldier Strong has donated Strong Mind to 13 VAs, including 3 in Texas. And that real-world use is expected to help develop the system even further.
And I think we can move the needle forward, not just for veterans, but for the whole civilian sector, and improve the lives of people that are constantly confronted by, high stress.
That is super exciting now. The Department of Veteran Affairs says up to 20% of vets who served in Iraq or Afghanistan have PTSD in any given year. VA says about 30% of Vietnam vets have had PTSD sometime in their lifetime. More to follow on that for sure. 6:39 now, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, the coronavirus added another 2,500 cases yesterday. Now the World Health Organization is taking action. That declaration coming up, but first here's what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, we'll have the latest on the impeachment trial, where it's looking more likely no witnesses will be called. Plus, the growing gap between rich and poor is one of the biggest challenges facing the country. We'll help people understand how the American economic pie is being split. And the Chiefs and 49ers are set to meet on Super Bowl Sunday. We'll bring you our annual Super Bowl City Showdown, this time between Kansas City, of course, and San Francisco. We'll see you at 7.